And so now I'm no more a sales associate, but now I'm a sales generalist, and I have a part-time job at Victoria's Secret. And so being a sales generalist comes with different perks and different advantages. So one of my advantages, so now I'm a pink girl, and that means that one of my advantages is I get 50% off any 10 items in pink. It can be a shirt, sweater, leggings, a hoodie, sweatpants, anything of that nature. If it's apparel, I get 50% off. And then every 4 months, so which is our quarter, so every quarter we get one free outfit as a pink girl. So that way we can be able to wear it to work and advertise it throughout our workday. We also get 30% off everything in the store. So whether I'm a pink girl or not, if you are a part-time associate, you get 30% off everything in the store in Victoria's Secret and in pink. If you are full-time, you get 40% off, and then it just goes higher depending on how high of a ranking you are in our store. And an advantage that you can also have working at Victoria's Secret is that the more you work with, the more higher you can be. So you can work your way up to get a more pay raise or to get a higher seat, I guess to say. So one day you can be a part-time, and next minute, like if you're working and if you're doing the right thing and being a consistent employee, you can be a manager, a beauty manager, or you can work your way up in the company. Some limitations. So a lot of the times, Victoria's Secret is very competitive between its workers. It just depends on who, but we're always trying to be the best. We're always trying to be the person with the most sales at the end of the day. So it can be very competitive, which for me is a limitation. Working past your schedule is also a limitation. So you can like for me, on Thanksgiving, we opened at 5 o'clock p.m. and then we closed at 12 a.m. And I'm a closer, so I had to close and clean up the store and leave by 2 a.m. And I didn't leave until 3:30 that day. So they will ask you to stay past your scheduled time, whether it is for 10 minutes, an hour, but that's one of the limitations that I have noticed since I've been working here. The next one is not enough pay for the workload that the managers require. So a lot of the time it's very hard to kind of get a lot done in the hours that you're working, because there's just so much to do and you're constantly going, talking to customers, doing tasks, grabbing something from the back, then go on your break for 2 seconds, and then it's just such a fast-paced job. So a lot of the time you're doing more than the actual company needs you to do per se. So let's say I'm getting paid $12 an hour, and we were going by how much I'm getting paid. Like in chapter 10, we talked about how like the workforce, they're paying you $12 an hour, but to make $12 an hour, I can literally sell to one customer and they'll be $40, and like their purchase can be $40, and that's my $12 right there, if that makes sense. So they're paying you $12 an hour, but at the same time you're working more than what you're actually getting. So those were a lot of the advantages and disadvantages that I have encountered at the store. So last but not least, capitalism. Me personally, I do believe that Victoria's Secret and companies like these are capitalism, and so some of the things that I've noticed is like modernity and post-modernity. So modernity is structures implemented to increase industrial output. For example, Black Friday. Black Friday, let me tell you, was crazy. It was my first Black Friday that I've ever worked, and so I was kind of stressed out already, kind of excited, kind of nervous, because I didn't really know what to expect. I knew the store was going to be crazy, and I knew that a lot of things were going to be happening. I had to help a lot of customers, so mentally I was preparing myself for that. But Black Friday, we had so many sales, and so that goes back to learning about increased industrial output. Because we had so many sales, we had many people coming in and buying hundreds or $200 at a time worth of products from our store. The next thing is I also left at 3 a.m. that day because the store was a mess. And then we also had segments. So a lot of times segments are the time periods where we have to make a certain amount of money to make the day or go green on the day. So for Black Friday, I think our highest segment was between like the peak point of our selling, which was probably like our 4 to 6 segment. So we had to make at least 90,000 or 100,000 that segment. I'm not completely sure, but it was around those numbers. So imagine having to talk to every customer, try to fill their bag up with a lot of products so they'll be able to go out the store with, so our store can have, can go green or to make the segment for the day. So I just also always think that's just so, that's so much. It's a lot of money that we have to make in 2 to 3 hour segments, and I think a lot of time that does come with modernity and increased industrialization. So post-modernity is usually information revolution and the production of knowledge and services. So an example of this would be on Black Friday, all 12 of our cash registers were going. Our cash registers were going. Our cashiers were ready to just take the next customer. We were going fast. But that wasn't enough. We had to have these things called impulse stations. So they're little phones, probably about the size of an iPhone, and it is a credit card swiper. And so while all 10 of our cashiers were going, and our cash registers were going, we also had 3 impulse stations. So some of our workers were able to carry the impulse stations and go around in the line and check people out while they're in line, because our line was very long. It was very long. There was many people that just wanted to get checked out and go home. So I think that's a really cool way of knowledge that is revolutionary, and the way of production and services to be more than what it just is. So what it just would just be our 10 cashiers. But now that we have the impulse stations that we can swipe their credit card and easily have them checked out without actually standing in a line for so long, that was one of the ways that production of knowledge and services were implemented that day. So overall, my job is great. I love my job, everything about it. I love the communication that I get when I talk to customers. I love my teammates, my girls in pink. We get along so well. And our organization and this bureaucracy is always going to have flaws and imperfections, but overall, I love working on my job. So thank you for listening. Thank you for having an insight into my job and what I do on a daily basis. Thank you.